All right, I just got food. Um, Master Warrior's online apparently. Let's do this. First of all, I would just like to note this is a very nice mod. You should maybe get this mod for no reason in particular. That lets me change my FOV right in game, and it goes beyond the vanilla FOV limit. Now moving on, time to actually showcase this funny mod called basically util commands. I have got a glimpse at it here. This mod, as you may have guessed, adds a bunch of util commands. Let's start with the biggest, coolest, sickest one. It's the first in the mod description, and I can't be bothered choosing another one. Let's say you have a number, right? Any number. I don't know how you got it. I don't care. That's up to you. Now, if you have that number in a scoreboard and you want to do something with it, it's not very convenient. So I fixed that. You have the /eval command, which is short for evaluate. Now you see it says expression. I can type 10 divided by 5. I'm going to return 2. I can type sine of 5, and it's going to return the sine of 5. I can type sine of pi, and it's going to return... Oh, that's supposed to be 0. Yeah, that's 0. Don't worry about it. But you get the idea. I'm sure you do. You can do stuff like, I don't know, rounding numbers, get a dot product of numbers. That's cool. You can't really do that. Well, I mean, you can, but it's a lot of work. With eval, it's literally one single thing. Now, you may be wondering, well, that's cool and all, but do I have to use a stupid function macro to get my score in there? No, you do not. In fact, you can do name, which is 1, question mark, objective, and that will get you the score of the name in the objective. Now, this actually won't work, because my dumbass coded this very poorly. The issue is, this is 1, which is considered a number, not a name. So it sees this question mark and says, what kind of operator is that? Scoreboard player set at S, score 13. I can now use at S here, and it will get me the score of 13. I can, of course, use my actual Minecraft name as well. I can perform any sort of operations I want, like multiplying it, dividing it, or whatever else. And a really cool thing, you can do at A to get multiple numbers. This will get you a list of numbers, like this, separated by commas, which means that you can use a max function, and you can put this in there, and it'll give you a list of all the scores, and you can get the maximum one or the minimum one, or you can do stupid statistics stuff with them. I don't use that because I'm not a nerd. Now you have to keep in mind that Minecraft commands can only return integers. You see, if I do 1 divided by 3, it says the result is 0.33333, but in reality, if we do run, you see, it returns 0. So what you usually have to do is multiply it by some number to get more precision, and then when you're actually using it, you have to divide by the same number. I am not rewriting the entire Minecraft commands engine. I'm sorry. Okay, you have to tough this one out. Moving on to the next command, that is /raycast. It's a raycast. What do you expect? You give it steps, you give it step length, and you give it a command, and it just does it. It's just a raycast. Like it casts a ray. That was a really simple one. Moving on to an even simpler command. Let's say I summon a little villager here. Now, I don't know how far away he is. This is so stupid. I don't know how to intro this one. It's /distance, okay? It's /distance. Really simple. I can do this, and it'll get me the distance from me to the village. I don't know what it's just distance. Scale 10. You can scale it for the same integer return issue. Now the next one is actually really fire. This one is one of my favorites. /check. There's 3 subcommands for it. There's blocks. Pretty simple. You give it a distance. Let's like 3. And you give it a block. Wowee, there's 49 grass blocks within a 7-block radius of me. Isn't that surprising? It actually is. I said 49 blocks in a 7-block radius for me, but it's not. It's a square, because I'm lazy, and you have to deal with it. You're welcome. It also allows for block states, so you can check for specifically snowy grass, which there obviously is none of. The next one is check collisions. It checks for collisions of an entity with a block. You check all of these blocks, right? And that argument, as far as I'm aware, is, yes, optional. That doesn't work because Minecraft Vanilla doesn't support that. We'll get back to this a little later, though. So let's say if I'm filtering by grass block, there's no arguments after that. Not found any block collisions. Well, that's weird because I'm standing on the grass. Ain't that a block collision? No, it's not, you fuck. Are you inside the block? No, you're standing on it. So it doesn't count as a collision, obviously. See if I go inside it, found 2 block collisions because I'm in between 2 blocks. And yes, it does actually work with any hitbox shape and size and dimensions, and it does work with any block shape. Stairs, fences, walls, enchanting tables, grindstones, sure. And last but definitely not least, check intersections. What does that mean? Check intersections with @s. Found 1 intersections. What's going on? Well, it's checking for intersections of the command executor. So the person that executed the command doesn't really have to be a person. And this selector right here. So if I bring back the villager, if I go, let me rephrase that. If I, there's no better way to say this. If I enter him and I check intersections with him, if my hitbox is intersecting with the villagers, don't you get it? It checks for hitbox intersections. It's like the same thing as the block collisions, except with entities. And yes, it can check for multiple entities. Now, moving on to the next one, this one is actually really fire. Glancing past that terrible fucking joke, the next one is actually, like, genuinely so fire. / motion. Multiply, heads up, I'll be honest, I can't do it. I can't do everything, okay? The multiply one is a little janky. It works, but it's a little bit janky. Add and set work perfectly fine. I can input strength, and these 3 are a little bit confusing. At takes in an Euler rotation, meaning pitch and yaw. So 0, 0 will launch me that way, I guess, which is 0, 0. I can go -90, which will launch me up. 2 takes in coordinates, so if I launch myself to 0, 0, 0, and if I do it enough, I will eventually arrive at approximately 0, 0. And of course it takes in entities too. Launch myself to the nearest villager. And then of course there's width, which just takes in a vector, like 0, 1, 0. That'll launch me up. 1, 0, 1. That'll launch me 45 degrees that way, I guess. Set functions identically, except rather than adding to your motion, it just sets it. So if you had any previous velocity, you get none of it. Multiply is, I mean, it's pretty simple. You get a factor, you get axes, which can be x, y, x, z, x, y, z, any combination of those. And it just multiplies your motion on that axis. It's really simple. I'm falling. Oh no, I multiplied by motion by z. Like, why do I need to explain these things? To recover from that earlier, we can use /heal to recover our physical state. You don't get to fix your mental health with this. I'm sorry. Go to therapy. This other one is pretty cool too, if I do say so myself. You can look at a block and we go entityfy. That is most definitely the wrong way to spell that, by the way. I don't care. We input the coordinates and we can choose a block display or a falling block. Let's say falling block, right? And you can choose to keep the original block or remove it. And you can also add tags such as gay ass block. And it turns it into a falling block. Of course, with the tag gay ass block. Now, because of the way it's coded, you can actually add multiple tags, but you need to get a little hacky. See, the way this works is it takes the tag string at the end of the command and it appends it into a JSON tag. Now, looking at this, you might notice that I can actually do something like this, and that will cause it to have 2 tags. Ain't that great? Finding exploits in my own goddamn mod. And of course it works with a block display too. I don't know why I need to even show this, but yeah, it works. It's the same thing. It's genuinely the same thing. Also, the tags are optional. Their hitbox is actually on the corner of the block, and I would set its translation to 0.5 by default, but I'm not gonna. Alright, now this is where it's getting real good. We get /rand, which is different from /random, very different. You get offset and rotate. A range, 10. Sure, snapping, 0. That teleports me with a random offset in a 10 block radius. Now you might be like, oh, well, that's great, but it's just a 10 block range. What do I do if I only want it to be horizontal? Well, fret not. It really is as simple as that. It's great. And as you may have noticed, you can actually run any command here. Absolutely any command. Which means that you can even run modded commands, such as a raycast. Oh god, that's a randomized raycast. Oh goody, would you look at that? But you might notice they're still all pointing the same way, the way I'm looking. That's kind of lame, so let's get rotate. You may see it immediately works because the arguments are actually the same. It's the same range and the same snapping. The range, of course, can also be a 2D vector, with the first value being the pitch and the second value being the yaw. Unless I mess that up. I genuinely keep switching them every single time I do this. You may be able to notice that the raycasts are now rotated randomly. Who could have expected that? And of course, the snapping also works if you want to do that for some reason. I don't know why you want to do that, but you can do it. You see, these are all now at 45-degree aligned angles. Now, there's one issue with this, and it's that random rotate is not perfect because there's not really a uniform Euler rotation randomized formula, whatever, in Java, and I can't be bothered figuring that out. So it does bunch up a little bit at the 2 poles, that being down and up. Now where it gets really good is /repeat. You have no idea how hyped this is if you've never worked with commands, because you can do this in vanilla Minecraft quite easily. In fact, you just copy and paste the same damn command, but this made it so much easier because now I can repeat a command 100 times, hell, 1,000 times instantaneously with one command. They are actually running consecutively 1,000 times different instances of the command. It runs them 100 times. That's not enough. How about 1,000 times? And at this stage, you can actually see the different steps of the raycast, which is kind of cool. And of course, last but absolutely not least, there's multi-command, which I added like genuinely hours ago. You can input multiple commands. Wow, who could have foreseen that? Definitely not me. You need these 2 tags, and then in between them, you can type any command you want. Let's say 1, right? And then I can copy this, right? And put it after and change say 1 to say 4096. And it'll run them both from one command. That is actually 2 completely different command executions. These can be different commands. These can be anything, really. You can do /list. You can do whatever. It's genuinely just multi-command input. And, just for convenience, you can do comments. They don't do anything, but they're comments. They're there. They make code clearer, and of course you can put as many spaces between these as you want. Enjoy! Now, if you look on Modrinth, you might notice that exhausts the list of commands. However, there's still some runtime to this video. That is because if your blind ass looks a little bit lower, you'll see the execute expansions. These are little additions to the vanilla /execute command. Now, again, I'm lazy and I can't be bothered thinking too much, so I'm going to go by the order listed on the website. Starting with execute if text. It allows for an input, an operator, so let's say exact, a target. You'll see the test passes because obviously this empty string is an exact match to this one. But if I put a space there, it's gonna fail. Say contains, right? Space contains nothing. Sure it does. Space contains 1. No, it don't. Starts with? Sure. I can put anything I want after it, and it'll pass, but if I put anything other than 1 in front of it, it'll fail. And the same goes with ends with. It's very obvious. These are all very nice operators. If you're a coder, you might appreciate it. Moving on, this one is genuinely one of the sickest things I've ever added to this mod, execute if eval. This allows you to input any expression just like in /eval, and it'll take the result of that expression, and if it is greater than 0, the test will pass. If it is less than 0, the test will fail. Now, this is actually really cool because the eval command and its evaluate method actually allows for logical statements such as 1 is greater than 0. Test passed. 1 is less than 0, test failed. So you can use any expression and any statement, and in fact you can even have operators like and or in the expression. The next execute expansions are actually quite similar, so I'll go over all of them quite quickly. First, we have execute positioned over closest ground, which is very similar to world surface or any of the other height map positions. However, this doesn't use a height map. It actually uses a cheap raycast, which means, say if I have a ceiling above me and you see the particle will display on the ground. And if the closest ground is above me, which it will in fact run there. Don't want that. There's the next little expansion, which is closest ground down. Does the same thing, but only downward. And then there's these two, which are quite cool. Closest view basically performs a raycast, and it executes the command at the position where the raycast hits the closest thing. The name is actually pretty self-explanatory. Now here we have a filter argument, and this is where the earlier little asterisk comes back, because here you can actually use it to completely disable the filter. So now, this will work with any block. Of course, demonstration, sure. You see the end rod displays not at my cursor, actually. Why is that? Well, it's because you have to anchor it to the eyes, and for weird, stupid Minecraft reasons, you also have to position it at the eyes, because that's how it works. And now it's actually at the cursor. Of course, it works with grass blocks, whatever other blocks. It's just a raycast, really. Anyway, I can check with any entity, of course, of type not player, because it does still collide with you. Then you see this doesn't work because there's a new Boolean argument, which is for alignment. If it's false, the position context will be set to the exact point where the raycast hit the entity. If it's set to true, it will actually snap to the entity's exact position, meaning their feet. So if I go to this villager and I pull out his brain, I can run this command, and it'll display a little end rod particle exactly where the raycast hits the hitbox. And of course, if I set align to true, it'll actually display at the villager's feet. That is technically it for all the command changes. However, there is one more little tiny change. You can data get entity at s player name. There's a new name binary tag for player entities that just stores their name as a string, because for some reason that's not a thing in vanilla. That is it for basically util commands. I am still actively working on this mod. If you go on the mod page, you might see a bunch of spikes in activity, because that's where I get back into coding for whatever project I have on. But that will be it for today. I don't know how to do outros because I have never really spoken in my videos until this point. Close your eyes, focus, open your mind's eye. Goodbye.